This is the plaintiff, John Piazza. He says he hired the defendant to build him a garage, gave him a down payment, and then the guy took off. The defendant's nothing more than a con artist who needs to be stopped before he does it to someone else. And he's suing the louse of all louses for the $1,500 he gave him. This is the defendant, James Bouchard. He says the plaintiff changed his mind from a woodshed to a metal one, and the one he ordered online was nothing like the one they looked at in the store. This new one was a monster which needed a cement foundation and then needed to be bolted into that foundation with 118 bolts. He told the plaintiff he'd need more money to complete this much bigger job, and that's when the guy balked. He's accused of disappearing with a do-re-mi.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. John Piazza,
Yes.
You are suing James Bouchard for $1,500
Yes,
that
ma'am.
you say he owes you for construction work that he did not complete. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, tell me what happened.
Well, it all started on March of last year. And James called me and he says, "You got any work for me? I need to pay my mortgage." So I said, "Yeah, I need a garage put up." And then he said, "Okay." And he came down the house and we talked it over. And I gave him $1,075 to help me put up a garage.
Okay.
So we all.
Did you guys write anything up?
Yes, we did. I have
May I see
evidence.
it?
Yep.
All right, so he's going to build you a wooden shed of a
Right.
certain size with these specifications.
Right.
And you paid him in March.
Right. Paid him cash.
Paid him cash because he needed the money then.
Right.
And then what happened?
Well, then, we went we went up to all these places to find wood and everything, and it turned out to be very expensive. So he said to me, "Well, why don't you buy a metal one?" So I said, "Fine." I said, "Where do I get one?" So he told me these two places to go get them. And of course, I went there and with him, and I ordered one, and I waited about 6 to 8 weeks to get it in. But they canceled it on me because they said they couldn't get it for me. So I said, now what do I do, So he says, "Well, why don't you try online?" So I went online and I found one online and I bought it. And it took another 6 to 8 weeks to come in. So now we're in October sometime. And the garage came in and he goes, "Well, you're going to put a floor in it." So I said, "All right." So I said, "Put a floor in it." He sent me back out, got more wood. And I went to put the floor in. He goes, "Well, that ain't going to work now. Now you got to put a cement floor."
You went to put what kind of floor in?
A wooden floor. And then that didn't work. So I ended up putting a cement floor in. Well, the winter came, and now it's getting to winter come. Now it's coming spring. I kept in
When
touch
you put
with
in
him.
a cement floor, you know it's October.
Right,
Was
they
the
can
plan
still do it.
that he would build the metal shed, put it together for you?
I
What
was
did you end up
hoping-
buying? A Quonset hut, like those round
Yeah.
top things,
Oh, I
like the
have
army
pictures of
barracks?
it right here.
Okay, let me see it.
Evidence.
And then, so whose decision is it to wait until spring at that point?
Well, the snow fell. It was October. We had that big snowstorm of last year.
Okay.
And so May he came around.
Okay,
and he goes,
I guess what I'm a little bit lost about is the guy agreed to build you a wooden one.
Right.
And you have something else going on now.
Well,
So did
yeah.
you guys rewrite the contract in any way?
No, we never rewrote the contract. The contract was, but he suggested that I buy a metal one. And that's what his suggestion was because the wood was too expensive.
Well, because you said the wood was too expensive.
Right.
Right,
So,
okay.
wood, metal.
All right, so now what happens? Now we're in spring.
Now we're in spring, coming May, October. So he comes over.
It's May, he comes
Right,
over.
He comes over 3 hours. He was at my house. I picked him up, bought him cigarettes, coffee, whatever, and we started working on it. He starts putting it together. He can't figure it out. Now he had the manual all winter long to look it over because I gave it to him. I gave him the book, how to build it, and he had that. So he comes over to my house and for 3 hours in the morning, and then after that it was Mother's Day because I got to get out of here. It's Mother's Day. I said fine. I said what about next weekend? He goes okay maybe, and he goes how about after work? I said anytime. Finally, I tried to call him and I couldn't get a hold of him. Never answered my phone calls. Never called me back. Never did anything. So I said, all right. So I now got a garage. I still got to put it up. So I called a friend of mine from Florida, another friend of mine from Stafford Springs, and they both came over, and I had to pay him. Well, I gave both of them $200 each, to help me put up my shed.
So now you're suing him for the money you paid him.
Right. And
All of it. And the money you paid your friends
Right.
and cigarettes and coffee money.
Yeah. Well,
And that way you have a completely free garage in your backyard, because then you wouldn't have paid anything for it. If he has to pay you back what you paid him plus what you paid your friends, then the net result for you would be that it would be completely free, right?
Not really, because it cost me $3,000 for the garage itself. Another $2,000.
Well, no, I meant the labor part, dude. You were always going to pay the $3,000.
Yeah,
you would
plus
get
another
free labor.
$2,000 it cost me to put
So
a
you
cement
would get
floor
free
in.
labor, which was not your bargain. Your right when you come to court as a plaintiff is to be made whole if somebody has wronged you.
Right.
That means you paid a guy to do something and he didn't do it, or he did only 75% of it, so you're entitled to whatever he didn't do. It's to give you the benefit of your bargain, not to make you better
Right.
off by never having to pay labor for anybody. What's going on here? You agreed in writing to build him a garage made of wood.
Yes.
How did that change into other stuff with nobody writing anything, so that there's a clear understanding between you two of what would be demanded?
When we got there, the materials came to like $2,400. So I told him I'd charge him $2,400 for labor too. It would be $4,800. He said, "Oh no, I don't have that much money. I want to only pay $3,500 with labor and materials." So that's when I dropped it to $1,000 for labor. But it was supposed to be wood on 6x6, pressure treated timbers, no floor. Then he goes, and I never said anything about a metal shed. He suggested they might be cheaper, so he went.
For him.
Yes.
Because you were always going to build a
Yes.
shed where he bought the wood.
Yes.
So he doesn't want to spend the money on the wood, so he decides to get a metal one. That wasn't your suggestion
No.
to him.
No.
Okay.
So he told me he got a shed. So when I went up to see it, this is a big steel construction shed, and it detailed prints and everything. And in the prints, it has a detailed foundation plan that he had to put in to cover the warranty. So I told him he has to get a foundation guy and make sure he puts in all the bolts where they belong. So
Okay.
I helped him a few times. And I said,
What does I helped him a few times mean?
I helped him like 3 hours one day, like he said, and then 6 hours another day.
Okay, but he says that one day you worked for 3 hours and then said, I got to go.
Yeah, Saturday afternoon. We had a party.
And had you already done the 6 hours, or
No,
the 6
then
hours
the
was like-
following weekend.
Okay, so according to him, he
I don't
came and
remember.
gave you 9 hours. That's not true, according to
No,
him?
I don't remember the other 6 hours he gave. He only gave me 3 hours, and then he was vanished. There was no 6 hours after that. I can't figure out 6 hours. Really?
Okay, whatever. I'm not arguing with you.
Unless the
That's,
No,
6
don't
that's
argue
what
with each
I,
other. Argue with me.
plus all the running around that I did with him, all the hours I spent with him. I drew up a plan for the wood shed for him.
Well, who built this? This came in all in pieces?
all in
Yes.
pieces, yeah. Every piece, there was
It's on the-
five.
there's
There
one
was
picture
5
on it.
Okay,
pieces.
you need to stop talking. Go
There
ahead.
was 5 pieces per section, and it was like 38 bolts on each section to bolt it in.
How much of it did you help him
I
with?
put 10 sections up. There was 12 sections. I built them on the ground. And in the plans, it shows 4 people putting it up with a forklift. We would have never been able to put it up ourselves.
So how did you end up putting it up?
I had 2 friends. It took them a day to put it up.
But did they have a forklift?
No, I have a tractor. There's a picture of it right there. Right, I have a big tractor, and it was very simple, actually.
How long have you two known each other?
About a year and a half.
Yep.
Have you ever worked on anything together before?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did a lot of stuff in his house, and he was satisfied with it, but he never basically screwed me like this. He didn't want to pay me any more money. He should have paid me double. He didn't want to spend more than $3,500 to begin with, and then he goes out and spends $38 on a shed and then $25 on a foundation. Basically, he screwed me from the beginning.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, as a group of people, are construction people as reliable as any other group, or are they worse? What do you think?
I think they're worse.
Why?
With the economy, it's really come out that they don't have as much business, and now it's showing that they.
But if they don't have as much business, they're going to be more reliable for the customers they have. Are they generally slackers, or are they as good as anybody else?
Oh, I think it depends on the person.
It does depend on the person, but certain groups have certain, reputations. Do contractors deserve the reputation of being unreliable?
No, I don't think so.
What do you think?
I think they do.
Why?
They do it to themselves. A lot of times they grab the money and they run. You cannot really check on them.
Well, that's the bad rap that people hear. The question, is it true going inside the courtroom?
What happens, it often happens that people have an agreement and then somebody changes their mind,
Yep.
and then you just drop another agreement and nobody feels, as you so eloquently state,
Yes.
nailed. And so, but then it would be clear, all right, listen, this is a lot more work. I'm not going to do it for the $1,000 that you got me through my tough time with. I will give you 10 hours of work and you got to figure out something. But, you guys have this, this is where the breakdown happens, is that he changes what he wants out there and then he expects you to put it up with him. And then you do not. You feel like...
I did enough hours, yes.
Yeah, but is it up to you to decide that when you don't have an agreement by him, like you guys didn't renegotiate this, it's just your way or the highway that you're done? And is it fair of you to think that if you have a contract with a guy to put up a wood one, which is kind of easy if you're a carpenter, it's really easy, and then you have this marine hut and you want to get it all together that required 2 guys, not, double the personnel, it's kind of, you're both wrong. And then you want him to return every penny as though he never worked there at all. I don't remember that second day. Not it didn't happen, but I don't remember that second day. You don't argue that he went to Home Depot with you, that he helped you to try to find it, that he that he had the manual, that he studied the manual.
And to begin with, I didn't approach him. He came and asked me if I could build something. Okay.
Well, wait a second, though. You say, according to him, you did that because you needed mortgage money right away.
I did that day, but I didn't go and approach him and ask him for work. He came to me. And then I said, well, I could use money now. I'll do it for that. That's what I agreed on.
You do see that this is qualitatively different than putting up a wood structure, right?
No, I think this is a lot easier, actually, because all of this is bolts. You don't got to do any cutting or anything like that.
You got to screw everything into the foundation.
That just sits right in the foundation.
How many hours did it take to do?
2 days. Those guys.
Do you have the manual with you?
No, I don't have.
That would be really nice for me to be able to see the manual. I'm not going to rule in your favor. The problem that you have when you folks stray from when you have a contract, it is what it is. I don't have a hand in it. I don't have a chance to change it. I don't want to change it. It's the agreement between 2 people. When you have this amorphous, we'll see how it goes thing, because you've changed the contract and there's no clear indication on who's doing what with that change. He goes, he builds a lot of it. And then he feels like, this is so much different than what I agreed to. I'm done after 9 hours. It takes you have to bring 2 other guys in to finish it. This is more complicated than the wooden structure. And you leave it in the judge's hands when you do that. When you don't have a clear understanding between the 2 of you, I've got to kind of feel it and decide, did he do enough work to justify that amount? Did he not do any work that would justify ordering him to return it all and pay for his friends to put it up? And I just, based on what I'm hearing, you're the guy with the burden of proving it to me that he just cheated you out of all this money that you're suing for. And I don't see it. My verdict is for the defendant.
So the judge rules that the defendant is entitled to what he got paid. Step on in here, meaning you collect nothing in this case. What's your reaction to that?
I think she was wrong. Definitely wrong. He didn't only work 3 hours. It's not worth $1,000, no matter what.
Well, when you changed the structure, why didn't you make up a whole new agreement?
We should have made that whole new agreement.
Yeah,
that was our biggest mistake.
All right, head right down this way. Yeah. You win your case. What's your feeling coming out?
She did the job she should be doing. She knows about construction and everything else. He doesn't, plainly. So
why didn't you insist on a new written agreement?
Because I was just sick, because he kept calling me, threatening me and stuff. I was just sick of it. I was going to help him to begin with, but then when he kept calling me.
4 words. Let's put it in writing.
Yep. Well,
5 words.
He lost. I won. So,
Harvey.
A word of warning, if you ever make a change to an existing contract, you had better get that in writing. If it's not in writing, trust me, when things go bad, the other side's going to say, we never said that. That'll do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.